What if some of that shit is so big it can't be moved?
Is that what you're saying, Ross? Is that what you've been
That's
told?
exactly what I'm saying.
How big is big?
Big. So big they built a building over it in a country outside of the United States of America.
And before you leave, is there anything else you can tell us about this gigantic vehicle that's too big to move? What were you told specifically? Come on, just like give me some
I
more
have told
details on
you
this.
all I'm going to tell you. I'm going to get in trouble
Damn you,
for saying
Ross.
what I said. I'm
Damn
going to
you.
get in trouble.
Got me on tenterhooks now, mate.
Let me just tell you this. I know exactly where it is.
My goodness. My goodness. Do you think that's going to come to light?
One day.
One day.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because it's absolutely gobsmacking that it's being kept as a secret.
Jesus.
Imagine having an object that's so big, it's just not conceivable to move it.
I can't. I can barely even comprehend that.
Yeah. I thought it was bollocks when I heard it too, and most people listening to this will anyway. But yeah, I mean, again, just an allegation, but one that I'm, assured should be taken seriously and hopefully will be being investigated by the Congress. Because again, where did the money come from? What's that money accounted for? The continued security and control of such an object for many decades. Who's paid for that? What programs have paid for that? Has that been disclosed to taxpayers? This is going to be a really fun inquiry if Congress starts doing its job.
And you want to start talking about like gravity propulsion systems that the government's been hiding, and that there's back engineering programs. They've got crashed UFOs, and there's one of them. It's only like a couple 100 feet wide, but you go inside of it, it's the size of a football field. Like,
right, like
what?
the TARDIS.
Yeah. Or the one in Korea that's so big they had to build a building around it because they couldn't move it.
Right.
I want to know what that is.
Same.
Had dealt with a facility outside Seoul, South Korea, where there was a huge extraterrestrial vehicle that they had downed with apparently some type of electronic warfare system that was they had to carve out a huge part of the mountain just to contain this object because it was too big to move to any other site, and that it is still there. So this is just sort of like, the
Ross Coulthart, who you know well, and you've done a wonderful interview with on News Nation, and he's carved out a wonderful niche for himself through News Nation and his reality check show. People should check that one out. Discussed a while back a UFO so big that it couldn't be moved and was actually built over Lue, and it's still used to this day as a working building. And I wonder, was that something you had heard of at the time, and how common could that be?
I unfortunately cannot discuss that. I have to be very careful. I can discuss what is in the book because I have approval to do that. What you are referring to is something that I would not be able to confirm or deny. And let me be very clear with that. I cannot elaborate at all. If someone else has elaborated on it, that's fine. I have not been given any permission to discuss anything like that.
Help me then, because on a similar tact, and it's my next question anyway, shape's often discussed as well as size. But on Joe Rogan, you mentioned a USO, so underwater, UFO basically, so big that it was the size of a small city block captured off an oil rig. So some people are going to hear this, and I'm used to the UFO conversation, but wonder why you can mention that, but not potentially the UFO under the building.
Because I'm not discussing sources and methods. I'm not discussing capabilities or locations. I'm not discussing an actual program. I'm discussing simply what was observed. You're asking me to confirm or deny something, the existence of something. I don't have permission to do that. What I can do is simply say from my personal observations, I've seen video of an event. Right, but I'm not saying where that event is, under what circumstances, what collection capabilities, where that place was, how long ago it was. I'm not giving any of that. It's just anecdotal, and so that in itself isn't classified. If I give you details of that, I could get in serious trouble. So I'm very careful not to do that.
I am aware of an ongoing secret FBI investigation, which is investigating not only the drones, but also some of the allegations behind the UAP retrieval program. Yes, if I was private aerospace or people in the intelligence community who are doing this illegal work, I would be very, very nervous. I would be thinking about my options right now. If I was, say, somebody in a senior level in private aerospace who was approached by Jake Barber and his team and told that they were thinking of taking this issue to the appropriate authorities, I would be looking at my options right now. I really would. Yes, the further answer to the question is I have been in touch with multiple people in the federal government, in investigative agencies, and also senators and Congress people and people who are in the senior levels of the Trump administration. There is ongoing communication right now. Yes, believe me, communication is happening. They are taking these issues very, very seriously. I'm going to leave it at that. And it's quite funny, one of the things I talked about at one stage, and I wish I'd never had, was my knowledge of a very large non-human craft that was discovered and was so large that it was hidden. And I can't reveal how it was hidden, but obviously there's something built over the top of it. I can't reveal where it is. And I've actually had death threats from lunatics on the web who are saying to me I'm under an obligation to reveal it. But what I know is if I revealed the location of that object, I would put the lives of good men and women in the service of their country in jeopardy because it's a place that's being used for a dual purpose. It's quite clever what they've done. And I have no intention of revealing it. Absolutely none. And there are many examples of that where journalists like myself, after consulting with people on the inside, we make a judgment about what we should and shouldn't reveal. And we have to do that because we don't willy-nilly just go out and reveal things recklessly. That's often the way that journalists are portrayed. I hate the way journalists get portrayed in the movies because we're always deceitful, conniving people who don't care about the sources that we're looking after. And we often sacrifice those sources for the sake of getting a glorious story. In my experience, that's not how journalists work. You don't operate for very long as a journalist if you operate like that. And those sort of people, those sort of bad people, get dumped very, very quickly. So you have to protect your sources and you have to treat those people with respect. This is one thing a lot of people have been saying, oh, you come out and just say it, Ross. Well, fuck you. I'm not going to say it. The bottom line is, why the hell should I say it? I'll say it when I'm feeling good and ready, when I've got my ducks lined up in a row and I've got my ammo and I'm ready. People in the UFO, UAP world seem to think this is entertainment. It's not entertainment. We're not under any obligation to tell you anything. The bottom line is we'll report what we find when we're ready to do it and when the sources are ready to speak. And that might take a while, but I'm all about protecting sources and making sure they feel comfortable about coming forward. And that